Hello, sports fan. This is Stephen Hill for Sports Choice Plus. I'm bringing you a very special breakdown. I'm going to be covering the Hall of Very Good. Before I get right into that, I want to make sure you go ahead and subscribe to the YouTube channel so you can get the breakdowns each and every time we have debate videos. Today we have a very hot topic. I'm going to get right into that. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Without further ado, let's get right into the debate. When I looked at a lot of the conversations for the Hall of Fame, you know, as they start to highlight different players in the NFL that have had amazing careers, it's basically a little bit over 1% of the guys that literally play in the NFL get to actually make the actual Hall of Fame. I forgot the actual percentage point, but we've had a lot of great players during my time frame of being on this earth that I've seen that have played that may not make the Hall of Fame. But their careers, they're still OGs. They were still dope. They still balled out. They still put the pads on and played the game the right way and really balled out. I know they may not get a Hall of Fame nod, but I wanted to recognize the Hall of Very Good and the Hall of Very Great. These are players that we know, players that we love, players that may not have the statistical backing of a Tom Brady or a Marvin Harrison as far as the accolades of a Jerry Rice, but they still balled out and had an amazing career, and they still deserve that respect to be notified and, you know, and to be uplifted and to be appreciated by not only their organization but the entire NFL. We know the NFL is about politics. We know it's about certain things that, you know, even with Terrell Owens getting into the Hall of Fame, they gave him a lot of crap, you know, stuff like that. So I wanted to highlight these top 10 guys that I saw growing up that deserve to be in the Hall of Fame that currently may not be in there or have yet to be mentioned for the Hall of Fame as of right now. So I'm gonna get right into it and kick the list off at number 10. I'm looking at Richard Seymour. I know that, yes, in the next couple of years he's gonna be mentioned for the Hall of Fame, but he hasn't been officially put into a ballot yet. When I look at Richard Seymour and what he did coming out of University of Georgia, playing the defensive tackle position and also defensive end, you got to see his versatility. Bill Belichick had a gem, a diamond, and he basically shined all the way through his career for the most part. When you look at his ability to rush the passer, and his ability to not only be very aggressive in his way that he handled his business, he was a class act. And when you look at some of his stats, when you're looking at from 2001 to 2008, he played with the Patriots. He was a part of that big dynasty. And you're looking at the 57 sacks. It's very impressive for a defensive tackle / DN. And seeing what he did in Oakland and seeing how he finished his career, he didn't get the love that he truly deserved. Being a big part of Tom Brady's early success, being a part of that Hall of Fame defense that included Teddy Bruschi, Ty Law, and all those guys, he really was one of the cornerstones of that team. A young Richard Seymour. So I don't think people really realize how special he was as a player. You know, in my eyes, he's Hall of Fame. And Richard Seymour deserves all the kudos and all the praise. He was a hard worker. He did what he needed to do while he was in the NFL, and big salutes go out to him. Coming in at number 9, you're looking at Chris Jenkins. Not many people realize who Chris Jenkins is. When Carolina was having all that success with Julius Peppers and Jake Delhomme and all those guys in Carolina, there was a defensive tackle by the name of Chris Jenkins that not only was a run stuffer, he was basically a mountain of a man. And you saw how he not only played defensive tackle, but how he filled every hole he went to. And he created lanes for Julius Peppers and others to be able to freely run because the middle of the offensive line couldn't go anywhere. The center and the guards couldn't go anywhere because he was there. He was attacking every single center and guard, every single play, and he was a run stuffer too. Occasionally he would get after the pass rusher, and it was impressive. 24 sacks from a defensive end. You know, he was a big part of that. And then when you look at the New York Jets, when he went on to play for the New York Jets, still similar behavior, dominating at the point of attack, in the trenches, making sure he's getting his defense, his linebackers that may be coming right behind him, a free lane to go one of those gaps. That's kind of what you're looking for with great players. And a defensive tackle, unless your name is Warren Sapp or, you know, some of these up-and-coming guys like Aaron Donald, you may not get the spotlight that you deserve. but you played your butt off each and every snap. You gave the car accident hits. You took 2 or 3 double teams every single play, and you still balled out. That's what I like about Chris Jenkins. That's why he's on this list at number 9. Coming in at number 8, the OG, Mr. Joe Horn. When you look at Mr. Joe Horn and everything he was able to accomplish in the NFL, he got his start somewhere else, and he didn't start in New Orleans, but he became the face of the New Orleans Saints. When you look at just when they didn't have a lot of firepower, when they didn't have a lot of big names, he came there and he solidified the wide receiver position. When you're looking at just basically Deuce McAllister, and you're looking basically when, Aaron Brooks was there, and you had a couple of other players on that Saints team. They weren't really the best team, but he gave them that flavor. Joe Horn gave him that pop. And when you're looking just at some of his stats, I mean, my God, he didn't have the best team to support him. But when you look at 58 touchdowns, 603 catches, 8,744 yards, he was out there balling. When you look at the cell phone incident, people was like, oh, that's his career, he's defined by that. But no, Joe Horn was balling in New Orleans. When they was doubling and triple teaming him, he was still making plays. He was still out there balling. And when you look at just the way he played the game, the attitude he brought to the game, the fire he brought to the game, he came out and he balled. Pretty good blocker, great hands. When you see him going across the middle making catches, when you see the thunderous ovation in the Superdome when he extends that hand after he makes that catch, showing off a little bit, that's Joe Horn. The OG that literally helped put New Orleans back on the map after they, for so many years, were terrible. That Joe Horn. Yeah, that Joe Horn. That probably won't get in the Hall of Fame, but he's pretty good as an NFL wide receiver. So salute to Joe Horn and everything he's done in the NFL, especially with the Saints during that time period. Another wide receiver that probably won't get his true kudos in the Hall of Fame because he didn't have the production to match his on-field accolades. You're looking at Hines Ward. Hines Ward comes in at number 7. When you look at the Pittsburgh Steelers and you think about wide receiver position, I think of Hines Ward. Yeah, you may have Antonio Brown, you may have Juju Smith-Schuster, you may have all these other names like a Plexico Burress that you could name that had more statistical yards and things like that. But when I look at the heart and soul of the Pittsburgh Steelers, for so many years, I look at Hines Ward. Yes, you have Jerome Bettis, but Hines, little Hines Ward, who was cracking back on blocks when he was not afraid to block linebackers. He was not afraid to go up and block a corner. He was not afraid to go out and hit a safety. He was not afraid to go out and make the big catch. It didn't matter what he was asked to do. Block, catch, kick, punt, whatever it was, play quarterback, he was doing. His versatility allowed the Pittsburgh Steelers to not only create a dynasty on his watch, one of the many dynasties, but also it allowed him to be a team player and help them win a Super Bowl. Got them Jerome Bettis' Super Bowl. You see how often, he brought in, when the Pittsburgh Steelers brought in Santonio Holmes, he was a big brother, a mentor to him, taught him the ropes, a true professional. Along the lines of Larry Fitzgerald, we're talking here. So he may not have the career accolades that so many others have. He may not have 20,000 yards receiving. He may not have 200 touchdowns. But that kind of thing of what he's shown as a professional is why I consider him Hall of Very Good, Hall of Very Great. Coming in at number 6, you're looking at a guy who we saw before our own very eyes not only grow, but he was one of the best route runners, the quickest feet I've ever seen in an NFL player. He changed his name. Chad Johnson, a.k.a. Ocho Cinco. When you look at what he did with Cincinnati with Carson Palmer and T.J. Houshmandzadeh and Marvin Lewis in those teams, he was not only one of the best wide receivers in the NFL, but his celebrations took it to another level. So many different wide receivers and so many different players today celebrate because of what Chad did and brought to the forefront celebrations. No matter if it was dancing in the end zone, no matter if it was the gold teeth, no matter if it was the Hall of Fame jacket, no matter if it was a lot of things he was doing at the time, no matter if it was the fines from the NFL, he was out there balling. When you think about running routes against the Baltimore Ravens, when you think about him putting himself in the forefront so his teammates didn't have to take the fire, Chad Johnson was doing that. Ocho Cinco was doing that. And when you think about the Bengals, I think about him being the best player in their history. Yeah, you got Carson Palmer. Yeah, you got all these different players that have come through Cincy. But I think of Chad Johnson as their best player in the history. I know they had A.J. Green, but before then, you had Ocho Cinco. That was big for me because I saw him not only do it against division rivals like the Steelers, not only did he do it against the Ravens, he did it against everybody. He matched up. He was talking trash to the DBs at the beginning of the year, marking their calendars all and saying, hey, this date I got you, this date I got you, this date I got you. Just go look at Hard Knocks if you don't know what I'm talking about. Child Please, all that stuff, all that good juju and jabber, that was Ocho Cinco. Before it was popular to do it. That was Chad. And not only his on-the-field production, but his on-the-field contributions with the celebrations is why we're doing what we're doing today. Coming in at number 5. You look at Jimmy Smith. Jimmy Smith is underrated. A lot of times he'll never get his due credit because of what he's actually done. You look at what he did with the Jacksonville Jaguars and how he was able to play the wide receiver position and really help a lot of those NFL teams do well. I know a lot of times other players on the Jaguars during that time frame got credit, but Jimmy Smith was one of the best of all time. When you look at his stat line, he played more than 10 years in the NFL. And I'm looking just here, 67 touchdowns, 12,287 yards receiving. Jimmy was shorthanded. Yes, he had his off-the-field troubles, but on the field, what did he do? He helped pioneer one of the youngest franchises into a winner. And you're looking at some of his teammates that may make this list as well, but you're looking at what Jimmy did, how he was able to put that footwork together. He wasn't the fastest. He wasn't the strongest. He wasn't the biggest. But he had attitude and heart that not only helped him grow, but he helped that Jacksonville Jaguars team grow. Put him on the map. That's why Jimmy belongs on this list. Coming in at number 4, the Freak, Jevon Kearse. So many people remember him from his first year in '99, I believe, with the Tennessee Titans, where he had 14 and a half sacks. The guy literally was a freak coming out of college, a baby version of Julius Peppers, if you will. Seeing what he was able to do, not only putting his hand in the dirt, but backing up as a linebacker, rushing, stopping the run, he could do it all. And then when he transitioned to the Philadelphia Eagles, he helped them eventually make a Super Bowl. And seeing just how, everybody's numbers driven for the Hall of Fame, and it's, your relationship driven for the Hall of Fame. It's politics. His numbers probably won't add up in the end. When I'm looking at his numbers, overall 74 sacks. It's pretty impressive. Looking at injuries towards the middle part of his career and the very end of his career that hampered a lot of what he could do, he became a situational player late in the Philadelphia Eagles, and also with the Tennessee Titans, third down specialist, second down specialist. But when you're looking at the first couple of years when he was in Tennessee, there was nobody that can stop him. Nobody that you could put in front of him that was going to slow him down. So that's why I put Jevon Kearse in on this list at number 4. Coming in at number 3, Mr. Cowboy, Jared Allen. For many years, we saw him with the Kansas City Chiefs put up a lot of sacks. And then we also saw him with the Minnesota Vikings on those teams before Brett Favre and when they got Brett Favre. He was very impressive. Just seeing exactly how he controlled the game. 136 sacks. And you're looking just at what he was able to do. He played a little bit of defensive end on those far wide right. And then he also came in sometimes to the left. Sometimes he played a little defensive tackle based on whatever scheme Minnesota was playing that week. But he got to the quarterback effectively. And when he got to the quarterback, the spiral, when he's tying up, hog tying or cow tying, those are the kind of things that I love from Jared Allen. He talked his trash, he drank his beer, and he played his football. He got after the quarterback. He did exactly what he was asked to do. Oftentimes, some of his off-the-field stuff caught up to him. But when you're thinking about it, Jared Allen's career is one of the best that's not in the active Hall of Fame right now. But I will say this, Jared Allen is up for consideration for the Hall of Fame. I don't know if he'll make it because it's politics. But this guy, during the early 2000s, and transitioning on, where Brett Favre was retiring, did a pretty great job at his job. He deserves the kudos, accolades, and credit as well for what he did. Coming in at number 2, the OG, Fred Taylor. Soft-spoken killer, smooth with it, laid back with it. Fred Taylor, coming out of the University of Florida, had a lot of speed, a lot of power. And in Jacksonville, he helped bring up the Jacksonville Jaguars. First, they had Mark Brunell. Then they transitioned on to DeGarod, and Marius Jones-Drew, but he taught them how to be a professional. Mercedes Lewis, the tight end, even speaks highly of him. When you're talking about some of the best teammates of all time, he gets mentioned by a lot of those Jaguars. Early on, that Jacksonville Jaguars team was a young team. They didn't have a lot of stuff to do, but their offense helped them do that. That was one of the biggest things for Jacksonville. So, and then the last of this list, you got Donovan McNabb. Donovan McNabb was one of the best quarterbacks of all time that's not in the Hall of Fame. Yes, he does have a lot going on off the field, but when you're looking at it, he dominated when he played the game of football. The NFC East champion so many different times, so many different NFC championship games, they failed, but he pulled through with the win. So these are my top 10. Hall of Very Good. If you like the list, let me know. If you don't like the list, definitely let me know. Leave your comments in the comment section below. Definitely check out YouTube for the Sportscast for all of our debates each and every week. And as always, we thank you for definitely choosing us and subscribe. Thank you.